And welcome to On the Level Racing channel. Welcome to another great show. Some great racing on Saturday, which comes from Newbury and York. And it's nice to actually have a horse running on Saturday's card, especially in the first race on TV, which is Eagles by Day. Sadly, I can't be there purely to obviously work commitments and the fact that I'm on holiday. So this is coming from my holiday home. So really, we've got to have a look here at my horse here, Eagles by Day. We've decided to change stables over the winter period because we didn't think we was getting the potential out of the horse in Michael Bell's yard. Even though I've had horses with Michael Bell before, I just fact that we didn't feel the training was going forward with enough with the horse. We saw that a couple of seasons ago with a juvenile I had with him. She was a nice filly, but sadly she didn't train on very well for the trainer. So the horse in question is Eagles by Day. Now with David O'Mara. Danny stays loyal due to the Clipper Logistics connection. And don't get me wrong, he's a nice filly. A nice colt. By Cedar Stars. And it's nice the fact that we're in a race like this that we have a very, very good chance of actually going close. I think. But he's already had a run 40 yard in the Hardwick Stakes. Didn't really show up very well. Very disappointing. That was over the just shy of a mile and a half. That was on soft ground, which he didn't really act on very well. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Communique was in front of him by 11 lengths. But I think we can just overlook the run completely. He was 80-1 shot that day to win that race. Group 2, Communique was 40-1. So, and it was a very, very competitive race. You had some Fanny Logan in the race, Andy Van Dyke in the race, Defoe, Adenek. So he was up against some really good adversaries on the day. If we go back to his best form last year, he's only won it over a mile and a half on good to firm ground at Salisbury. And as we know, if you saw the race, he won that literally by 7 lengths on the bridle under Danny Tullope. Since then, we've tried him in Patton Company. He's failed to impress. I think his best run came at Ascot last year when finishing 3rd to Japan, which came in the King Edward VII Stakes. People are going to turn around and say, has he trained on? He's only don't get it wrong, guys. He's only a 4-year-old, so it's still plenty to play with here. And the fact that he's with David O'Mara now, you've got to say, apart from Richard Fahey, he is one of the top, probably the top northern trainer in the country. So I'm very glad he's here at a very, very potentially an up-and-coming stable in the area. We look around at others in the race. Obviously, you've got Communique in there, Mark Johnston's horse there. Obviously, we've got to find a bit of form with the horse, but I can't see why we can't. Ranch Hand has been very disappointing, I think, for Andrew Balding, running a couple of handicaps and hasn't really shown anything. The one I do fear is David Simcock's horse here, Jamie Spencer in for the ride. I think it's Jamie's only 2 or 3 rides there this season. And I put Universal Order up last time when he won. And he just got up on the line under Cadman Shepherd when beating a horse called El Misk by a short head in the listed Fred Archer Stakes over at Newmarket. That form hasn't really stood its ground, especially with El Misk getting beaten over at Haydock this evening. So and then we have to look at Charlie Appleby's horse here, William Buick in for the ride on Moonlight Spirit. This is the horse I fear the most in the race. You can't. You could probably bypass his Gold Cup run against Stradivarius. I mean, come on, distance was way too far for him. Drops back in trip. But go back to his last year. Second the Prix Chardonnay, the Group 2 over at Longchamp, and also won a Group 3 at Longchamp. Also won the Prix du Lattès. As for his record around, he's only won a mile and a half race off a mark of 86, which is, I believe, it was a Class 3 handicap, which is below my horse's ability. And I'm just hoping that, you know, different surroundings, and I'm really hoping that we got a really good year this year with Eagles by Day. He needed the run last time. He was out of his depth. I think this drop down in class and back up in trip is going to really be beneficial for the horse. And with the ground firming up as also, I think we could see a very big run from Eagles by Day. He's definitely not a 10-1 shot which you can get in the market at the moment. To me, he's 10-1 with Paddy Power. He's generally 15-2 with Ladbrokes. So, you know, he is fancied a little bit around there. He is the outside of the field, but you know what they say, always back the outside of the field. So I have. It's my head and my heart for this horse. I think Eagles by Day is far better than what his ability has been showing. And I do think some of these horses here are quite exposed. I don't think Eagles by Day is really exposed around the pattern level. So I think I'm happy to go at 1 point each way, 10-1 with Paddy Power on Eagles by Day. I'm hoping it's a better run this time out. I mean, the trainer seems to think, David O'Mara seems to think that you know, he's come on since the run there, and we would like to see more from him. We know where we are with him after this run, I think, but I'm hoping he will go close to this. So that's 1 point each way at 10-1 at Paddy Power on Eagles by Day, the 155 at York, which is the John Smith Silver Cup Stakes, over just shy of a mile 6. We're going to do the racing in order here as they come on TV. So that's the 155. We go on to the 215, which comes from Newbury. You have to bear with me, guys, because I have to get it up because I'm only on one screen today. I'm usually on two. Now, this is a juvenile listed event, the Rose Bowl Stakes, over 6 furlongs, good ground, and it's not a great juvenile race to really get involved in, from my point of view. If you go back to the first juvenile listed race that we usually have at Doncaster, which is the Brocklesbury. It's another race that you usually see most of the Brocklesbury winners come into this race, and it's not a great, like I say, it's not a great juvenile. It doesn't really have well-known juveniles running the race that come here. If I had to take 2 out of the race here against the favourite, the likely favourite is going to be Martin Mead's horse here in Method. He probably had a bit in hand here, the colt, and he's 10-11 to win the race. When he went over at Doncaster by 5 lengths, he was 11-10 favourite to win that race, and he did it well under Ryan Moore. It was a very weak race. You know, you're taking it on his ability that he's well bred. He's got plenty of speed in the pedigree, and being by Maymas, and he shouldn't mind the ground. But I want to take him on here because over the years, to be fair, not many horses have come into this off the back of a win. And that's what I said, it's quite a low listed affair. And I'm going to stick my head out with Brian Meehan's horse here for Jason Watson's riding on Tanfantic. Now, I believe there's still more to come. I mean, I think 18-1 is way overpriced for this horse. He was last seen finishing 4th at Sandown in a listed event, the Dragon Stakes, when finishing 4th, 2 lengths behind a horse called Gussie Mack of Roger Teals. Back in second was a horse called Significantly for Carl Burke, who has also come out and won again. That again was quite a weak Dragon Stakes, but that was over 5 furlongs. He goes back up to 6 this afternoon, and he looked pretty impressive when winning from under Martin Dwyer, giving weight all the way round to his field there, when beating a horse called Fairy Dust by a length. Now, back in third was a horse called Jazzio of Clive Cox, who's come out and won, I believe, won yesterday or today. I can't quite remember. I'll just double check. I think he's won the last 24 hours, I believe. It's not up on the record, but I think he won today, Jazzio. Others in the race there, I think it's interesting. Archie Watson's horse here, Holly Doll, in for the ride on Mighty Gurkha. Another horse you cannot discard here. Very good 5th at Ascot, behind a horse called Tactical. He lost all his chances, really. He hung left quite badly. He pulled too hard throughout the race. But again, Tactical and Yazaman, the first two in the race there, are certainly no slouches. That was a Windsor Castle Stakes at Ascot. I mean, as we know, Tactical has looked even more impressive when landing the July Stakes at Newmarket last weekend. So that's pretty good form. That's where the form line is, obviously, for Mighty Gurkha. And obviously, if Holly Dog can get a tune out this horse, he would definitely be in the mix here. No one here, Richard Hannon's got Bouting Cross. I think he's got to step up a bit further than what he's shown. I think he'll step back to 5 furlongs, so the horse will be better. Mark Johnson has Bowman, has won his last 2 outings. And no one obviously has to be feared in this race. And also a Cracking Power of Ian Jardine. Sylvester D'Souza coming in for the ride. A nice bred horse by Colt by The Last Lion. Last seen, we're winning on good to soft ground at Hamilton. When beating a horse called Abduction and Bergerac, but Bergerac's been beaten again recently. But I believe that was yesterday and was beaten quite convincingly. So that would concern me. So I can't see why 10 Fantic is such a price he is. It's 8 runner affair. I can't see why it can't be in the first frame there. The first frame is 16 to 1, 18 to 1 in places. And I'm going to have half a point each way in this and 18 to 1. I think the favourites 10 to 11 deserves to be. Imperial Yellow, obviously second favourite, and Mighty Gurkha. There's been money for Mighty Gurkha around. I mean, he's big as 13 to 2, but in 4 to 1 in places. But I think 10 Fantic can run a big race here. 18 to 1. So half a point each way, 18 to 1. In the Rose Bowl Stakes to 2:15 Newbury. That's over 6 furlongs. And then we're going to head back to the 2:30, which comes over at York, which is the John Smith's Cup Handicap. 22 go to post, stick a pinning guide, and hope for the best. But there is a couple that stands out here for me. Now, I said to you have to track a horse here in this race. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, that Ed Walker's horse, Caradoc. Now, he was backed off the boards to win at Epsom on Derby Day. And he was held up towards the rear. He had made a lot of ground up, and he managed to finish 6th in the end. And he did make a lot of ground up, but it was his first run. First run for quite a while. I mean, that was his first run for 231 days. And you can't knock that, really. And I thought it was quite an impressive run off a mark of 100. And the fact that he comes into this with no penalties to worry about. James Darwin for the ride, which I think is, it's good to see that they've made a book another great jockey. I mean, this is usually ridden by Oisin Murphy, but obviously no Oisin on this role today. And I just think he's quite a standout, Caradoc. No one in the race here is Solid Stone of Sir Michael Stouts here, who's got a cracking form in this race. Again, Buick has been booked for the ride. Last seen winning at Sandown over a mile. When winning by 2 lengths and won it very, very well. That was a Class 2. And he won that well off 96, giving weight around to most of his rivals. Will step up in trip here, which would be quite interesting to see if he can get to trip. No one I want to look at here. I mean, I'm tending to stay in the high ranks of the market here, of the weights here. It tends to favour. And I would like to be and also have a look at here by Roger Varian's horse here, 5th position. A nice gelding by Dark Angel. Last seen when winning over at Doncaster over this trip, when beating a horse called Anything Today. And back in 4th that day was Sky Defender, who had 7.5 lengths he beaten by when giving off level weights. And as we know, Sky Defender came out and won the Epsom Downs Infidest Handicap over Epsom at 22 to 1 off mark of 99. So that is definitely good form for 5th position now with Sky Defender in the field. And the fact he's on level weights again with Sky Defender, it's going to be very hard for Sky Defender to come off that penalty and try and reverse that form. So I think we can go 2 against the field here. I think most firms will pay 4, but you probably might get 5 in this race, 5 places. And I'm going to go 2 against the field here. I'll have to go for Caradoc, purely because I put the horse up as a tracker, and 5th position. Now, they're a pretty good price, the pair of them. I think we can probably have a 1 point each way at 6-1 on Caradoc, and I'll go a 1 point each way, 11-1 with Ladbrokes on 5th position, and the 230 at York. We go back over to Newbury, which is the 250, which is a Premier Phineas handicap over the straight mile here at Newbury. Sadly, only 6 come here for the post, but I think it's a horse in this race that's dropping down in class, and I think could be very, very hard to beat. That's Eve Johnson Houghton's horse here, Graceful Magic. Now, I think we can have a look at the run last time out when not positioned, when running in the Guineas, 1,000 Guineas, when 11th to a horse called Love, 14 lengths. However, we could probably take that from weight. He's only 200-1 shot to win the race, so obviously, it was no point even getting involved in him. But we go back to his air run, his Group 3 air run, which he ran in the William Hill Firth of Clyde Stakes over 6 furlongs on good ground. That was a Group 3, and he held himself quite well when finishing half length by a horse called Rose of Kildare. Now, as we know, we saw Rose of Kildare come out, and who I tipped up to win the race when he won the Musadora Stakes. So that was quite impressive. I think that's very, very good form for Graceful Magic. And the fact he's dropping back in the handicap company, this horse, she's going to be very, very dangerous here. Tomorrow's Dreamer, Willie Haggis's Holly Doll comes for the ride. Last seen, she was seen winning over at Chepstow. We're winning a Class 5 handicap over just shy of extension of 7 furlongs, and did it quite well. Won by a mile, a length down of a mark of 73 on a Tom Mark 1. So there's pretty more to come from the horse. Up another £8, but she is taking on some pretty useful ones here. Same with Ed Walker's horse here, Tony X. First time out this season, pretty useful 3-year-old when winning both her races, and beat a horse called Two Birds over at Newcastle on his last run, which I don't think is very good form, but for me anyway. He's just there in novice ranks, but he has won over the trip, so that's a good thing for the fact that he's won over a mile and a quarter. Simon Christmas horse here, Festive Star, will probably have to step up here. Nice filly by Golden Horn. Last seen at Windsor in a Class 2 when finishing way down the field against a horse called Overwrite. However, that was first time out for 246 days, I think. 249 days. So, he hasn't been known to go fresh in the past. So that run was probably blowing the cobwebs away. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Godolphin's horse here run quite well. Simon Clifford's horse here run quite well. Festive Star, but she is the outside of the field. So I'm going to go for Graceful Magic in this. I think this race is very open. Also, one I didn't mention was Mark Johnson's horse, June Crowley rides. I think this horse should definitely be. I thought this would be 6-4 favourite, not 7-2. 6 in the Sandringham Stakes at Ascot, hasn't been seen since. Look at the form. Thierry Tomba, who I tipped up tonight, was just touched off by Shorthead. Dubai Love has come out and run very, very well since, when finishing 4th to Rosa Kildare in the Musadora. Nassis, the winner of the race, was definitely disappointed against some of her events when taking on Pattern Company, which was the Princess Elizabeth Stakes over Epsom. I didn't mind that because I actually tipped the winner up, so it was pretty good. But on that merit, I think Graceful Magic dropping down from Pattern into Class 2 company, she really should be giving a good account of herself. I mean, she hasn't got a greatest draw stall 1, but then again, it is possible to win from this stall. She will have to come round the houses, but she can do it. So I'm going to go here a 1 point win at 8-1 with Graceful Magic. That's 8-1 bet 365. But you can get 17-2 with William Hill. So that, but we go 8-1 bet 365. We're going to go. I said a 1 point win, didn't I? We'll go a half a point each way. Okay, we'll split the difference so we can get a place on it, and we need to get our money back. So half a point each way, 8-1 on Graceful Magic. That's in the 250 at Newbury. We will go back over to the 305 at York. Just get up, guys. 305 York, which is the John Smith City Walls Stakes over 5 furlongs. It's tend to be a very quick 5 furlongs here at York. And the words on everyone's lips, and it will be on Tony's lips, Tony Hawes, is that can Major Jumbo finally win the race? You know, this season. This horse hasn't been in the winning enclosure now since last August, and the fact that he's had he had 4 or 5 runs before he won last year, and he won a listed event at Chester when taking the Queensferry Stakes. There's no reason why, he can't win this one. He's taking on. Well, he was beaten by a good horse that day called Judicial, who I actually fancied on the card this afternoon. One of the cards, I think it might be at Newbury. But he was dying of death over the 6 furlongs. He was led. He always seems to lead. He's got quick pace. He's quick at the boxes, and he is a front runner. And I'm hoping now they've managed to find a race that they're stepping him back to 5 furlongs on quicker ground. I think Major Jumbo can finally, and I mean finally, get this win under its belt. So he won this time last year in August, around this time last year, and I can't see why he can't take this race, because he's had 2 really good thirds, and then with 9 runners in the field, and they're offering a price of 7 to 15 to 2. I think he's a worthy each way bet on the ground. Others in the race, El Astronaut, I put up last time, won nicely for John Quinn, but again a penalty race. Never seems to run the same race twice. Alpha Defini loves York. Graham Lee on the board. This horse is as consistent as they come. Alpha Defini won the Nunthorpe here last year, 2 years ago, which was quite annoying because I actually put Mabs Cross up to win the race. I had a big bet. I was actually there that day when Al Defini got up by Shorthead. I was quite gutted he did, because I had quite a big bet on Mabs Cross at 16 to 1, and that was, I think he was 40 to 1 when he won that under Graham Lee. But I mean, he hasn't done much running since, so there's he went over the Longchamp in the Prix de l'Abbaye, finishing way down the field, and Mabs Cross obviously reversed that form with him. And then came out in May, just before all the commotion happened, in a Temple Group 2, the Temple Stakes, and adapted it quite well. He ran a big race, finishing 2.5 lengths behind Batash, and reversed that form again with Mabs Cross, 20 to 1. So he never really runs a bad race. I mean, and obviously the quicker ground, the better for Alpha Defini. And you won't see him too late. He's a rattler. He's a late finisher. If Major Jumbo can get first run in, which I'm hoping he can hold out Delphini here. Because don't forget, Major Jumbo is going to have a lot of competition up the front here. I mean, he's got El Astronaut there as a front runner. And obviously the likely favourite is Michael Dodd's horse here, Q Amora. Last seen when winning over air over 5 furlongs, when winning the Lando Burns Finney Stakes listed event of a mark of 98, and did it well by 3 lengths. He's already beaten Mosgiel last year here at York over course and distance by 1 3/4 lengths. So he holds that form. But I just hope Major Jumbo can bounce out, bowl along, and just Kevin Stock can keep the horse there going. And I think York is a perfect track for him. He could actually bowl along it and get his deserved win, to be honest. So with 9 runners here, I think at 1 point each way, I'm Major Jumbo at 15 to 2. Got to stay loyal to the horse. He's dropping back in trip to 5 furlongs. I think that would suit him, especially on the firm ground. Then we go back to the 325 now here at Newbury. Just get out, guys. Sorry, 325 at Newbury, which is the listed Aphrodite Fillies Stakes. And this is pretty good race for the fillies here. It's a listed event over a mile and a half, and you could probably put a few up here that's got a cracking chance here. As we know, Roger Varian's horse here has been running quite well. And 2 runs now she has now, and she was finishing second in a listed event at Newbury over course and distance. Winning the Aberdeen Filly Stakes, which is quite a good trial for this race, when finishing second to a horse called Franconia. And she was only just beaten. Even though the 3 3/4 lengths doesn't really do her justice, it was still a good run. But then she didn't follow it up very well when she was stepped up in trip up to 1.5 miles this distance on soft ground, when she just blew up, and she was nearly 12 lengths behind the eventual winner. There was Manolo de Vega, who won it very impressively. She has over 6 lengths to find with Macawy of David O'Meara's. Also, that was on soft ground, and this is on quicker ground, this one. And there's no reason why she can't run well again under David Egan. Macawy, as we know, 3 runs now for David O'Meara. Adam Kirby come here. She's a nice mare by Far, who I'm actually quite do like over these middle distances. And again, as I said, she finished behind Manuel de Vega and outran her 28-1 odds. She was that day. In fact, she's been quite a big price on all her 3 runs since the rating started, which has always been double figure price. And she will come into this off a price of, let's have a look here. Yeah, about 10. It's about 10-1 for this one as well. The main principles in the race. Virgin Snow, who I put up last time, of Ed Dunlop's here. Jason Watson comes in for the ride. And I was quite disappointed that she didn't win this race. I thought she was given a very, very poor ride by Curtis that day, Ben Curtis, when finishing up behind a horse called Nico Sikazi of Willie Haggis's. She was beaten 5-4 favourite that day. She had no impression on the winner. And maybe the step up in trip is going to benefit her this time around. I mean, she's a 1.25 mile winner at Haydock. So this is the first time she's having a crack at the trip. Interesting that so Jason Watson comes in for the ride, and there's no reason why she can't run a reasonable good race here. Willie Haggis has a horse in this race, also Lady G, nice filly by Golden Horn. She had no problem with the trip. Last seen finishing third at Yarmouth over 1.25 miles. Behind a horse called Majestic Noah, and yeah, she was ridden, but she was staying on all the way to the line on James Doyle, and she was beating the second favourite that day. She only went down by half a length, so there's no reason why she can't come on, Lady G. And she's not really exposed, and since she was fancied at Yarmouth, there's no reason why she won't run a big race here at a big price. Henry Candy here, another filly here, who hasn't had much miles on the clock, and last seen at Pontefract over this trip when finishing second to a horse called Antonio de Vega, who, again, that form line is not really impressive, for me, but considering Antonio de Vega was pulled out of the race that Manuela de Vega won the other week. So La Lune Heavy Candy would have to be very interesting. Back in third that day was Macawy. Now, she was a 28-1 shot that day. There was only 3 parts of a length between them off level weights. This time around, again, they meet off the same form. And one that could run a big race is the Cape Cross filly here, Mark Johnston's here. Who's probably the most interesting for me, was the fact that she finished 4th on her only start since the break, when beating a horse called when finishing last of 4 in the Fred Archer Stakes. As I said, Universal Order runs against my horse on the in the first race in the card. Back in second was El Misk, who has come out just said tonight, and sadly finished second last against Trushan. So, we're going to have to take that form on trust. So really breaking down the form line here, Laloon is definitely a horse that could be still progressing for Henry Candy. I mean, don't get me wrong, her run behind Antonio De Vega is probably definitely the best form in the race by far. And I like the fact that David Probert comes in for the ride. And I think a 1 point win on Laloon in the 325 Newbury at 9-2 is a worthy bet. That's a 1 point win at 9-2, William Hill, on a horse called Laloon in the Aphrodite Fillies Stakes in the 325. We next go back to York, which is the 340, which is the final race on TV from this meeting. This is the handicap, a class 3 over 11.5 furlongs, 13 go to post. And I think it's a horse in this race that is probably very, very well handicapped. I think it's very well handicapped. That's Willie Haggis's horse here, Al Mufthra. Now a 5-year-old. And I think we can overlook the race, the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes, when finishing 10th or 14 behind Scarlet Dragon. Didn't get a run of the race at all for me under Tom Marquand. And I think this sort of race is probably a little bit easier than what he's been running up against. And the fact that it's over 11.5 furlongs this time could benefit this horse quite considerably. And I do think he's the one to beat in this race, Haggis's horse, Al Mufthra. Others in the race here, Darius Simcock's horse here, Prejudice. Again, you won't see this horse till late, purely because of the fact that Jamie Spencer is riding it. Last seen over at Kempton quite recently, last month, when finishing 5th, under Jim Crowley, when second favourite. He just plugged on in the final stages on the slow ground. There wasn't really no threat to the eventual winner, Pallavicino of Martin Dwyer and Brian Meehan. That was at Kempton. I would like to think that, and also another horse here that we shouldn't overlook either is Elector of David O'Meara and Daddy Tunnock. And very, very Daddy Tunnock will not leave this York without a winner. Last seen when finishing 4th at Doncaster, by a horse behind a horse called Haravian, who runs again, the John Gosson horse who runs again today on the cards. I think either at York or he's probably at Newbury today. But again, he was pushed on along quite vigorously under Danny Tulloch that day off at 9 stone 7, and just had no extra and finishing 4th, 6 lengths behind the eventual winner of a mark of 94. That was the same class as class 3. Dropped down a pound, 10 stone weight is a lot to carry. But again, these are quite considered good handicappers here. And looking over the last few, there's been quite a few heavy weighters win this race. 10 stones won it 3 times, 9 stone 13. So I won't be put off by the weights of these horses up the top of the market there. So I think Al Mufthra can get the better of Elector this race here. Tom Marquand to get a better of Daddy Tunnock. There's £2 between him at the weights. I just think Al Mufthra's form is better than Elector's. So I think a 1 point each way, 11-2, with most firms on Al Mufthra to take the 240 York, the class 3 handicap. That's the 340. And then the final race on TV will be the 4 o'clock at York. Sorry, 4 o'clock at Newbury. I'll just get it up. Which is the Group 3 Hackwood Stakes, over 6 furlongs, 12 go to post. And I think, we've got a horse in here. If the ground gets up soft, I won't be so miffed if Shine So Bright ran a good race for Andrew Pauling here. He's a good front runner in these kind of races. Last seen back at Epsom in the Surrey Stakes when finishing 3rd behind Safe Voyage, only beating 3 lengths under D'Souza, and was last seen winning at York last year when he won the Group 2 City of York Stakes, when beating a horse called Lawrence by a nose, and it again led from pillar to post. They've been very selective this time around for where they're putting this horse, because he's been pulled out quite often, a couple of races now. He started off the campaign in the Jubilee Stakes when he was completely outclassed in the Group 1 behind Hello Yumzane. And yeah, I suppose the Epsom run was pretty good. I mean, don't forget Epsom's quite undulated track. So really, there's no reason why it's trying to shine so bright couldn't run a big race here. Now dropping back to 6 furlongs, especially as a front runner. Very, very tactical affair here with Sylvester de Souza on board. A race, also the race we could have a look at here probably is Repartee at the bottom of Kevin Ryan. Again, nice win last time out. We wins over 6 furlongs. We've beaten a horse called Above. And yeah, did it going away under Andre at Zini. That was a listed event. That was a Carnarvon Stakes. And then we got the old boy. I always like to call him the old boy. He seems to be around forever. Summergand. Harry Bentley comes over ride this time. In no Daddy Tunhope on this horse. Last seen at Pontefract back on the 7th of July, which was only 10 days ago, when beating George Bowen, and finally got the turf win that he was been crying out for. But it was a Class 2. It was a moderate event that he beat. He beaten horses that were exposed like George Bowen, Sharamika, Golden Apollo. They're all exposed types, and he was rated 105. He's literally rated like £19 above the runner up there. And he did it by half a length, and he had to work for it again under Danny Tudhope. That's just my worry. That Summergand, he will need the gaps to come, but under Harry Bentley, he will be staying on very, very late in the race. If he go back to back, that'd be quite impressive. He's not a horse that tends to do this often. And then up the top there, you got Julie Camacho's horse here, Callum Rodriguez for the ride on Judicial. Now, I was quite taken. Really, really taken with this win over at Brando, when beating Brando in the Chip Chase Stakes over at Newcastle on the weather. And back in third, there was a horse called Major Jumbo. And that's where the form line, I'm hoping Major Jumbo can actually get a win this afternoon, which would be nice. But Judicial is definitely a horse going the right way. As for turf form, his best turf form wins coming listed company when winning the Bullet Sprint Stakes at Beverley last year. But recently now he's running the second in the Group 3 Palace House Stakes, which is good form of 109. But it only goes up a pound for that, but has to give plenty of weight away of 9 stone 10. Not many, don't get it wrong. Wolfpad did it last year, the 9 stone 10, so it's not impossible to win off the weight. Definitely the best horse in the race for me, going the right way. Yeah, I think this could be. It shines so bright, could definitely make it a good clip here for the closers. Judicial, Summergand, and the likes of Tip Top Win and Repartee will all be coming at him in the closing stages. He's got Dakota Gold up there, who also is a front runner. Really shines so bright to win this race. Really has to run from the front and steal a couple of lengths coming into in the furlong, to win this race. So Summergand will be rattling home under Harry Bentley, as will Judicial and Repartee. And the fact that Judicial has to give £8 away to Repartee, that's a lot of weight away. But I think the Judicial's in cracking form at the moment. He's done nothing wrong. He's come back with a bang. And I like to think the horse will be there again, just Judicial. I think at 1 point each way at 13-2 with Paddy Power on Judicial I think it's a good bet. I'll be very disappointed not to see this horse out of the first 3 in this race. So that's 1 point each way at 13-2 on Judicial with Paddy Power. So that is the selections for Saturday afternoon. Great racing. I will fly over the car for you guys again, okay? So we'll step back, and what I do is I won't do them in order. I'll just do them in on the race cards, okay? So we'll kick off at Newbury, which is the 2:15 at Newbury. And I'm going here, half a point each way, 18-1 on 10 Fantic. In the 2:50 at Newbury, I'm going a half a point each way at 17-2 with William Hill on Graceful Magic. In the 3:25 at Newbury, this will be a 1 point win at 9-2 with William Hill on Laloon. And in the 4 o'clock at Newbury, it'll be a 1 point each way at 13-2 with Paddy Power on Judicial. Now we go over to York, which is the 1:55, and this is a half a point each way at 10-1 on Eagles by Day. In the 2:30 at York, this is a 1 point each way on Caradoc at 6-1 and a 1 point each way at 10-1 on 5th position. In the 3:05 at York, I'm on a 1 point each way at 15-2 on Major Jumbo. And in the last race on the card there on TV, which is the 3:40 at York, I'm on a 1 point each way at 11-2 on Al Mufri. So that's the selections for York and Newbury for Saturday, the 18th of July. Be lucky. Hope we have plenty of winners. We know we're doing quite well at the moment this month. So we're only halfway through, and we're nearly £200 up. I think about £200 up. Hopefully we can double that up by the end of the month. However, this is On the Level Racing Channel signing out. Have a good evening.